Today we're throwing it back to Renaissance Italy with the second AC game ever released in Assassin's Creed 2. This is the first installment of the Ezio Trilogy, and as a newbie to the franchise, I was so excited to get into this platinum. There are 51 trophies in total, including the platinum, 18 are story related, 1 is missable, 6 are collectible, and 25 are miscellaneous. Let's get into it. We begin our epic journey with the familiar face of Desmond Miles, who is still trapped by Abstergo Industries in the modern day. After telling us we need to trust her, Lucy boots up the Animus, where we find ourselves as baby Ezio, basically setting the scene for what's to come.
Ezio Auditore da Firenze.
Through this first cutscene, we get the birth of an assassin trophy.
First trophy on the PlayStation, let's go!
So we follow after Lucy, who's seemingly trying to help us, and after watching her absolutely kick some butt, we learn that she's secretly an assassin, and is indeed trying to save us by hiding us from the Templars while we continue our work in the Animus 2.0 elsewhere. After working our way through the building, beating up some more Templar agents in the car park, we're smuggled away by Lucy in the trunk of the car, and for that, we get our second trophy. We meet up with 2 other members of the Creed in historian Sean Hastings and computer expert Rebecca Crane. Through the use of the Animus 2.0, we dive into the memories of Ezio Auditore da Firenze, this time as a grown-up, which is where our true journey as this amazing protagonist begins.
Sit back and watch.
After being introduced to the young, daring scallywag that is Ezio Auditore, going through some basic tutorials and familiarizing ourselves with the streets of Florence, we work our way through the first memory sequence of the game and also help our sister out by bashing up a bloke that did her dirty.
I loved him!
No, Claudia. You only thought you did.
He should suffer for what he's done.
Here. I'll go have a word with him.
On our way to teach said man a lesson, we pick up our first miscellaneous trophy in Lightning Strike for sprinting 100 meters. Now back to the story. After Ezio's father and brother are wrongly imprisoned, we take some documents to a guy that's supposedly a friend, only for him to turn around and say he knows nothing of the matter, essentially sealing the fate of a significant portion of Ezio's family.
I'm afraid I know nothing of these documents.
He's lying!
For fleeing the scene of this unjust execution, haunted, angered, and thirsting for revenge, we get our next story-related trophy for completing Memory Sequence 1.
The pain of betrayal. That certainly felt like betrayal, wow.
Through Sequence 2, Ezio grows monumentally as a character. He sets out on a quest to uncover the conspiracy surrounding his family's tragedy by navigating through the political intrigues of Florence, encountering historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci and Lorenzo de' Medici along the way. He hones his combat skills, acquires essential tools, and begins to understand the broader conflict between the Assassins and Templars. We finish DNA Sequence 2 when Ezio flees the city and his home with both his mother and his sister, looking to seek refuge at his uncle's villa. We begin Sequence 3 being rescued by our uncle after a bit of a scuffle with some children, and man oh man, what an introduction it was.
Don't you recognize me? It's me, Mario!
Uncle Mario.
It's been too long, Nipote. Far too long.
Stop it.
At this point, we're introduced to the ins and outs of the villa and the role it plays in the game. We chase down the pesky bloke that was giving us a bit of grief at the start of the sequence, end him, and collect 4 codex pages to finish the DNA sequence off. For this, we get another story-related trophy. Next, we pick up a couple more miscellaneous trophies with Handyman for upgrading our first building in the Stronghold, as well as I Like the View for synchronizing 10 viewpoints. Now it was time to tackle our first of several assassin tombs. Over the course of the game, these tended to include a lot of parkour, some problem solving, as well as some stealth, combat, and awesome chases. They were an absolute ton of fun, definitely one of my favorite parts of the game. There's a tomb inside this absolutely spectacular cathedral later in the video that I'm so excited to get to. This first one had a bit more to do with the story. At the end of the tomb, we overhear some bad guys discussing bad guy stuff, which gives us a bit more knowledge about the conspiracy surrounding the execution of our father and brothers. For completing our first tomb, we get our hands on this weird disc-shaped thingy that we'll use later in the game with the 5 others we collect from the remaining tombs to unlock the Altair armor set, which not only looks insane, but is essentially the goated getup in this game. Upon leaving the tomb, we get the Undertaker trophy. The next couple of trophies we ticked off were Kleptomaniac for pickpocketing 1,000 florins, as well as Macho Man for defending a woman's honor. Through DNA Sequence 4, Ezio uncovers that the Pazzi family are well and truly mixed up in a conspiracy he's determined to unravel. The story intensifies as we discover the extent of the Templar involvement, setting the stage for a pretty crazy ending to this part of the story. For looking like an uber cool version of Spider-Man on the rooftop and finishing this sequence, we get the Bloody Sunday trophy. At this point, we take a break from the storyline and go on a bit of a miscellaneous trophy tear. We start by completing our first assassination mission, which gets us the Assassin for Hire trophy. We follow that up with Mailman for intercepting a Borgia courier. We then discover our first of many glyphs that are located across the various locations in Italy. These cryptic symbols and messages are from an individual we come to know as Subject 16, a previous test subject in the Animus. Supposedly his consciousness lingered within the Animus and he left behind these mysterious glyphs as a way to communicate with future Animus users. This includes Desmond Miles in the modern day setting. There's 20 of these glyphs in total that fit together to form a video revealing hidden truths about the ongoing conflict between assassins and Templars. For using our eagle vision to uncover the first symbol, we get the tip of the iceberg trophy, and for solving the puzzles contained within the symbol, which subsequently unlocks our first part of the video, we get the trophy titled A Piece of the Puzzle. For winning our first race against a thief, we get the Steel Home trophy. For hiding 5 bodies in bales of hay, we get the Street Cleaner trophy. And for completing our second assassin tomb, we get another weird disc-shaped thingy, as well as the trophy called I Can See Your House From Here. It was now time to get back to the story with DNA Sequence 5. Through this sequence, we continue to unravel the conspiracy at hand and learn more important things about the men involved. The sequence comes to a climax after we tail our next target to a secret meeting. It's here that it dawns on us how connected and low-key scary the leader of the bad guys is.
So sorry to have claimed your prize, assassin. Did you honestly think I wouldn't expect you to follow? That I didn't plan for it? We've been at this a lot longer than you. Kill him.
Now obviously, it wouldn't be much of a story if we died here, so naturally we take on a few guards, end them all, and then go to finish off the bloke we tracked to the meeting. For finishing Sequence 5, we get the Conspirators Trophy. Next, we tackled the Assassin's Tomb inside Santa Maria del Fiore, the cathedral that I mentioned before that I was so excited about. If I had to pick one part of this game that was the absolute most fun to complete, it would be this. Crazy high ceilings, stunning visuals, some really, really fun parkour, like there's even stained glass windows you needed to climb across. It was fantastic and left me utterly speechless. For getting to the tippity top of the cathedral, grabbing our third disc and completing the Assassin Tomb, we get the Choir Boy trophy. At this point, we were nearing the halfway mark of the story. After fleeing some guards in a carriage with Leonardo da Vinci, completing a few bits and pieces around Venice, we get the trophy called An Unexpected Journey for completing DNA Sequence 6.
Hey, an unexpected journey, another trophy, we'll take that, thank you very much.
Now it was time to head back to the modern day as Desmond Miles, where we learn about some of the side effects of being in the Animus known holistically as the bleeding effect. Things like cognitive degradation, hallucinations, the usual. Essentially, we as Desmond Miles could lose our mind by being in the machine for too long, but it's fine. We complete some training, deal with the headaches, and re-enter the Animus to get the bleeding effect trophy.
Yeah, a little intermission. Back in as Ezio. Bleeding effect. Dunskies. We'll take it.
Now that we're back in as Ezio, we climb to the top of Florence's Giotto's Campanile to perform a leap of faith. For doing that, we get the High Dive trophy.
High Dive, W.
We also buy a painting in both Florence and Venice, which gives us the Art Connoisseur trophy.
I'm not sure. There we do.
And we complete our 4th Assassin Tomb to get the Prison Escape trophy.
Ravaldino's.
Next, we tackle DNA Sequence 7, which involves meeting the leader of the Thieves Guild, Antonio. After doing a few bits and pieces around the city to help him out, we gather enough information to go after our next main target, Emilio Barbarigo. After taking him out, we return to Antonio and learn about the man Emilio was speaking with before we assassinated him. To end the sequence, we're rewarded with the Merchant of Venice trophy.
Appreciate it. Everything must
At
go.
this point, we've got our hands on pretty much all the skills and tools we require to complete the game. So the remaining sequences generally consist of working with our allies to take out other targets as we delve deeper into the conspiracy, chasing that elusive big baddie we saw earlier, who we come to know in the game as the Spaniard. Prior to finishing sequence 8, we pick up our 5th disc as we complete another assassin tomb for the trophy Hallowed Be Thy Name. Next, we get a quick miscellaneous trophy out of the way called Man of the People. This trophy required us to throw 300 florins on the ground, which was kind of funny.
There you go. Money doesn't grow on trees, it just comes from Ezio Auditore.
Yes!
Here you go, peasants. Pick it up. Coins!
Now that's more like money! Oh, yes! Now that's more like
Man of the people. There you go, peasants. Take the coins.
We follow that up by being introduced to Leonardo da Vinci's latest invention, the flying machine. This mission is the only chance we have to kick an enemy guard off the roof, which we need to do in order to get the missable trophy, Fly Swatter.
No. There we go. Nice. Did I kick him off the roof? Yeah, I did. Fly Swatter. Let's go.
For ending this bloke and escaping the area, we're rewarded with not one, but 2 trophies. The first being the impenetrable Palazzo for finishing sequence 8, the second being Podesta of Monteriggioni for reaching 80% of our stronghold's total value. Next, we get our 6th disc-shaped thingy, as well as the trophy for completing our final assassin tomb called Venetian Gladiator.
Where's that trophy? Where's that trophy? Venetian Gladiator. Let's go. 6 out of 6 for the tomb.
The only thing to do now was head back to the villa, place our final disc in the front of this statue, and unlock the legendary Altair armor.
Here we go. It looks cool. It looks really cool. Here we go, the armor.
This great gift. May it shield me from my enemies.
Check it out. Man is, and he's got the mask too. Man is dripping with swag right now.
On our final mission of sequence 9, we pick up this really annoying miscellaneous trophy that requires us to stun 4 guards at once by throwing sand in their face.
Yeah, that's got to be 4. There we go. Messer Sandman, we got it. Oh, that was so tough.
After escaping, we get the Masquerade trophy for completing DNA sequence 9.
A different one.
We follow that up by performing an air assassination on a poisoned NPC to get the Doctor trophy.
Trophy?
We also sweep the legs of 5 guards with a long weapon to get the Sweeper trophy.
5? Hey.
Now it was time to put our foot down and go pedal to the metal for the final DNA sequences and story trophies. While we were working our way through sequence 10, Ezio said something that made heaps of sense. He said that if you've gotten to this point in the video, you must be enjoying yourself, so subscribe if you haven't already, give the video a like, and leave a comment or your favorite emoji down below. So strange that that was in here, but we keep going, I guess. In this sequence, we met a new friend in Bartolomeo d'Alviano. Apologies for that pronunciation as well. He, thankfully, has a large force of men under his command, so he and his men help us sneak into a fortress where our next 2 targets are hiding. After taking out some more enemies, we chase them onto a boat that they're attempting to flee on. We take both of them out and finally have enough information to get close to the elusive Spaniard. By this point, we know that he's the one ultimately responsible for the execution of our father and brothers. To conclude part 10, we get the trophy called Bianca's Man.
2 birds, 1 blade.
In sequence 11, we tail and take out a guard that was delivering something important to the Spaniard. We pose as the guard and ultimately come face to face with the man himself, reveal ourselves, exchange some verbals, and have a bit of a scuffle.
You claim not to be a believer, and yet here you are.
Unfortunately, we don't get the job done and the Spaniard's able to escape. Our friends that we've met along the way turn up in numbers to our surprise. We learn that they've been assassins the whole time, training us up so that we may become a part of the Creed. This particular scene is pretty cool.
These are the words spoken by our ancestors that lay at the heart of our creed.
Where other men blindly follow the truth, remember,
nothing is true.
Where other men are limited by morality or law, remember,
everything is permitted.
We work in the dark to serve the light. We are assassins.
Nothing is true.
Everything is permitted.
It is time, Ezio. In this modern age, we are
It's
not
giving me
so
cult
literal as
vibes,
our
I'm not gonna lie.
ancestors, but our seal is no less
Here for it.
Are you ready to join us?
I am.
This only hurts for a while, brother. Like so many things.
Oh no, stop it.
Benvenuto, Ezio. You are one of us now.
To end the sequence, now as a recognized assassin, we perform a leap of faith into the hay bale below, where we also get the trophy called the Prophet.
Very nice.
We get another trophy called Victory Lies in preparation for getting all the hidden blades, item pouches, and armor upgrades for Ezio.
Perfect.
Over the course of sequences 12 and 13, we learn more about the reason why the Spaniard is doing what he's doing. Everything has been about power and control of the Apple of Eden, a device that provides the user with supernatural power, essentially rendering him or her unstoppable. The Spaniard sees himself as a prophet for the Templars, and given our father was an assassin, this is the reason he was executed under the guise of justice. The Spaniard's plan was to take him out as well as the rest of our family. Obviously we, our sister Claudia, and our mother escaped, but our brothers weren't so lucky. Now as we look to finish the final sequence of the game, we track the Spaniard to a cathedral for an epic final showdown.
He's got the staff. He's convinced everyone it's like a holy staff. Hey, what's the bet?
How is it you resist? I see. Kind of you to bring me the apple. Now give it here!
Vai a farti fottere.
Alright, here we go.
Just like your father. Well, rejoice, my child, for you will see him again soon.
After putting up a good fight, we're beaten, and the Spaniard takes the apple and once again flees in a last-ditch attempt to attain the true power of the apple before we can stop him. We chase him down and confront him once again.
No.
Open, damn you! Open!
The arena is set.
Rodrigo.
I haven't yet, dude. I have not. I'll tidy them up after we finish the storyline.
Let us see what you are made of, old man.
Alright then, if that's how you want to play it.
This time, he's done, but instead of finishing him off, Ezio decides that revenge isn't everything and instead lets go of his hate and anger with a very Luke Skywalker-esque decision. This signals the end of the storyline as Ezio Auditore, for which we get our second to last story-related trophy with the Vault.
Our Lupo.
Our final story-related trophy comes in the modern setting as Desmond Miles. The modern-day Templars have found out where we are after we escaped at the very beginning of the game. Desmond and Lucy kick some Templar butt and scare off the modern-day bad guy while the credits are rolling. At the end of the credits, we get our final story-related trophy called An Old Friend Returns for escaping the hideout. With only 8 trophies left, including the Platinum, it was time for some miscellaneous cleanup and collectible grinding. I started off with Mythmaker for finding the 8 statuettes in Monteriggioni. I followed that up by getting the No-Hitter trophy, which required me to kill 10 people while remaining in conflict without being hit. I was aware of this trophy through my entire playthrough, but just couldn't get it done. To get across the line, I used smoke bombs and my trusty hidden blade. Next, I had to spend 5,000 florins on courtesans. This was a funny one as I was kind of just running around spending the florins while looting stuff and distracting guards. This particular bloke was having a great old time, like, look at him go. For this, we got the trophy Red Light Addict. Perfect Harmony was next for simply tinting your clothes with both the Wetland Ebony and Wetland Ivory dyes found at the tailor.
Come again!
It was now time to continue our quest to grab all of those glyphs I mentioned earlier. After a couple of hours locating them all and completing the required puzzles, we got the Vitruvian Man trophy and front row tickets to a new movie.
That's it. There we go, Vitruvian Man. Oh, it's a mission. We got there. Now we can see the video.
I have it.
Eve!
Look out! Wow.
Was that what I think it was?
Next came the game's ultimate grind. I had to collect 100 feathers that were scattered across all available locations in the game. There's no in-game map for these, so I did the only thing anyone in their right mind would do, and consulted a guide on YouTube. Even then, it still took me roughly 5 hours to get to this point where I had one left.
Right, this should be the last one. Where is it? There it is. Alright, last one, come on. Oh, this has been such a grind. Let's go, let's go. Alright, last one. Feathers collected, 100 out of 100. In memory of Petruchio, collect all the feathers. Oh my gosh, that was insane.
Once we dropped all the feathers off at the villa that we'd spent all that time collecting, we got a hug from our mum, who also literally said her first words since the execution of our father and brothers.
Thank you, Ezio.
There we go.
For not forgetting about...
Importantly, she gives us the Auditore cape that we need to get our final trophy before the platinum. To get the Show Your Colors trophy, we needed to wear the cape in every city as well as the mountains, so here was the moment of truth.
There we go, show your colors. There we go. Platinum. Let's go. Oh, Master Assassin. That makes me so happy. What a game. What a game. That's easily the best Assassin's Creed I've ever played. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much for making it this far. Do me a massive favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. Next weekend's video will be on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, the second chapter of the Ezio Trilogy. Till then, I hope you're well and I hope you're safe. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.